All right, hey folks, good morning. We're going to do some Eberron art today. We're creating an adventure called Crystals of Mabar for characters in 5th edition in the Eberron campaign setting. It's for 7th or 8th level characters fighting necromancers in the Carnwood of Carnath on the continent of Corvair. This is the normal countdown that you would see on a live stream, but I'm live, and I'm counting down here live with you with my wordsmithing. So give me a second here. I'm doing some social media posting. If you're catching this in the future, and you already know the score, be welcome to skip ahead a minute, and I'll catch up with you after the bump. But let's see. Yeah, I'm going to be pressing a few buttons here real quick. So just to regale you, my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And yeah, I've been a DM since 1987. I've been an Eberron enthusiast since 2004. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. And this is the first adventure that I've actually produced and published myself. I've participated in the production of plenty of adventures, either with art or writing, but this is the first one that I've done from scratch. So I create an idea from ideation to publication. I create an idea, I run through it, we build out the mechanics here, do up the writing, send it off to an editor. When the editor sends it back to us, we come back, we do page layouts, and we do the artwork for the book. And once we finish the artwork, we publish it. In this case, it'll be on DMsGuild. So the writing's done, all the play testing is done. Oh, yeah, we ideate, we lock down the mechanics enough that we can play test it. Once we play test it, then we polish it. After we polish, we send to the editor. After the editor sends it back, we do page layouts and artwork. While it's off at the editors, we do asset production, like maps and tokens and stuff like that. So we've gone through all that process, and now we're in the artwork phase. So when we're done with the artwork, we get to publish this thing. If you find this stuff cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. 429 episodes. Here's the entire playlist here of us creating all the maps, all the tokens, all the assets, as well as doing all the page art here. And today, this is the book cover. We made this around episode 40. You can check that out in the Wayback Machine if you want. And today we are working on artifacts. So there's the book revolves around an artifact called the Eye of Mabar, which was created in the plane of Mabar, the Endless Night. It's where undead, demons, and things that go bump in the dark hang out. I've got a heating pad on and it's overheating me. So I need to back that dude down. There. Hey, what's going on, Folly? So the Eye of Mabar is used in a ritual. It's an artifact, so it does cool stuff for you. But it's in the ritual itself, it creates and sustains a manifest zone to the plane of Mabar, and as it continues to grow, it solidifies. And when the ritual completes, a permanent portal is opened to Mabar, and the person that was conducting the ritual becomes an Ultraloth. If the ritual is disrupted, the portal collapses, the manifest zone collapses, and the person that was creating, that was the caster, is basically killed, and whatever can be reclaimed is formed into a lower CR Yugoloth. And then if you kill the Yugoloth, then you still have the Eye of Mabar, and you can either destroy it, or Ader Academy had it in their archives. So I'm just going to do some artwork while I'm talking. And so in the lore of Eberron, Carnath turned to necromancy to help win the last war. The last war was a 100-year war, and their resources were getting, their manpower and their resources were being heavily drained. So they decided to turn to necromancy because free troops. All you got to do is get them up and running and manage them. So that was the route that they decided to go. And I want to make sure that foreshortening here is layer perspective is working for us here. And so that's one artifact, and you can't really destroy it unless you actually go to the plane of Mabar to destroy it there. Otherwise, it just reforms and eventually finds its way back to Eberron again in the quest of creating a permanent portal. And here I want to do this like, yeah, we should do this like this. Sorry, concentration moment. So all these artifacts have a ritual that will create a manifest zone, and none of the ritual details are included in the adventure. It's just it's a campaign capstone idea, where if your characters thought this was cool and you're 7th level, you gain 8th level, and then 7th level, 8th level, 9th level, 10th level, 11th level, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And at 20th level, you've got all 13 artifacts. You can reshape reality. Or if you start at 8th level and get to 9th level after the adventure, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, also 20. So you could run all these artifacts where we start with the Eye of Mabar, becoming aware that there are planar artifacts, and your character can then go try to catch them all. And there's rival guilds, rival organizations in this adventure that may also be interested in gathering these artifacts for their own purposes. And so if the DM likes that idea and the players are hip to it, then you can lean into that whole concept. But it's just this is just a like how to extend the adventure, or there's pages of how to expand the adventure, and then this page is how to expand the campaign. So. Like one of the other pages that we have in here is like here's a map. There's an entrance to the Underdark Khyber underneath the dungeon facility in this adventure. So like if the team clears out the dungeon and takes it over as a bastion, then there's basically an open door to the Underdark that they discover, and they can use this as a jump point to go into the mythic realms. Khyber is what they call the Underdark in Eberron, and Khyber is also the name of the dragon below. The evil dragon, the ambitious, conniving dragon that gums up the works of the of Sybaris and Eberron, the good and neutral dragons. And so you delve into the Underdark of Khyber, and you eventually end up in the lower bad planes of existence. There, this will help with the perspective. This ice stalk like this. And in Eberron, the Khyber is no joke, man. That's where high CR monsters are like really at. So starting a dungeon delve at 8th level when you're likely to run across beholders and Illithid and other like Quarry Madness monsters is that's a risk, and having high level characters act as a stopper over that isn't a bad theme for a campaign. And I love the I'm a huge fan of the Bastion system. So a lot of the facility locations, a lot of the locations in this dungeon that we're creating are facilities like barracks and armory and laboratory, and these are things that exist in the Bastion system. So if your characters survive and succeed in the adventure, they could be awarded this location as, hey, we need someone to steward this place to make sure evil doesn't happen here anymore. We want to commission you and give you a stipend to oversee this area and the surrounding communities to make sure that everything stays safe. So it becomes basically your dominion under the law of Fort Bastion. So your characters start, if you use the pre-written the pre-written plot point in here, the assumed plot point, your characters are deputized to find out what's going on with all this necromancy shit. And to crack skulls if necessary. You have the legal authority and badges to do it. It's like the perk that your character gets, that you can flash a badge and give you the authority to investigate anywhere that you want here. And if people resist you, they're basically criminals, and you can deal with them as you please. But there's a large amount of neutral or friendly NPCs that the team can encounter that are happy to give them information or help them with their goals, recognizing the risks that are in the area right now. no one really realized what the fuck was going on until they realized what's going on, and then it's like, oh god, it's like this undead stuff is bad. But once you get into it, you're kind of stuck with it. You got to try to climb your way out. So the PCs showing up is like, oh my god, thank you. We're so glad. We're so glad that somebody in the government is paying attention to what's going on here and is trying to create a solution. So your characters are really set up to be able to decide how they want to approach the different factions that are inside the adventure. And we provide like ABC options for like if you want to fight these things or if you want to try to negotiate with them, or if it can be negotiated with, we pretty much provide options for this is how you negotiate with that thing, or this is what this thing wants. So it's and it's very non-linear in design, where there's multiple paths to every event that occurs inside the adventure, and you don't need to experience every event if you don't want to. The DM can sculpt how much or little of the content is actually part of the adventure. So it was also designed for professional DMs that are interested in running something, a mid-level campaign, a decent power level adventure for paid players. This is designed to be a good insert there, because it has 6 different plot lines that provide different options, start you in different places with different pieces of information. We talk about like randomizing that, so when the players create their characters and then they find out what their plot line is, and there can be contradictory goals inside of the teams if you want. So there's a lot of fun ways to be able to utilize the information inside of the adventure, and it's parsed granularly and broken up into chunks so that you can extract, like you can take the cemetery and just use the cemetery by itself as a separate dungeon environment. It operates independently. So that was another big requirement, was to make sure that everything is modular so you can add or remove it as you want. In the Eberron campaign that you played in, you ended up creating your own dragon mark. Oh, super cool! And had your own town at the edge of a massive anti-magic field. Nice. That sounds a lot of fun. Eberron really just lets you do whatever the hell you want. It's got massive history and huge lore, but at the same time, it's like take what you want and leave the rest. It's very, very forgiving in that sense. I love that. It's such a great campaign setting. It is, I would say, Eberron, and I think Eberron, Planescape, Sigil is, fuck you, Wizards. Wizards keep screwing with my vocabulary. I would say Sigil is a great, Planescape's a great campaign setting, and Sigil's an okay location. It's the logical conclusion to what Planescape is. It's a good hub for you to run a Planescape out of. It's well built in that sense, but I've never been excited about being in Sigil. I've always been excited about using it as a jump point to get from one plane to another, to just mess around in weird environments. Spelljammer is an awesome environment, but also is not really, it's not its own, it's more of a toolkit than a setting. Individual wild space systems or worlds that you encounter could be settings, but Spelljammer itself doesn't excite me as a setting. It's the toolkit that it provides. Only Dark Sun and Eberron have really excited me as a setting, like as a world with enough depth to it that you can really just make up stories about it and have them make sense inside that world. Not a lot of them over the course of history, but I'm a very picky DM over my 40 years of gaming. Yeah, well, this is technically my 38th year of the first year I encountered D&D, I didn't have a game table. I was purchasing books, learning the game, running adventures kind of ad hoc, solo, because back in the 80s, it's not like I had the internet to hop on and find anyone, and I was in Missouri, so where I had to buy my books was like Hobby Lobby. Either Hobby Lobby or like B. Dalton bookstores. So there wasn't really much of a hub when you're like, 13 years old, it's kind of hard to get around, especially when you live on a horse ranch. It's like, occasionally I'll go to the mall. There was a mall within driving range that we could get to, but for the most part, I was isolated a lot as a kid, and so it was a long time before I was able to actually I don't think I had a steady D&D team until, God, I think until I was 16. But I'd have haphazard off random groups that I would. I get friends to play for a little while, and then they get bored with it, and they want to do something else or whatever. So I had like off and on, stop and go game experiences from 12 to 16, and I think, you know what? Honestly, I think the first time I started actually having a steady D&D engagement, I think was 15. And it was just me and one of my friends at school that were interested in it, but there was only 2 of us. So we'd take turns DMing, and whoever was playing would have a party of 6 characters. And it was very much like main character with an assembly of resources that helped keep the main character alive, essentially. So I did a lot of solo play, a lot of picking up adventures and studying them, learning how to make dungeons. A lot of downtime alone before I was able to finally find a consistent weekly team that, like, I knew, hey, it's Friday, we're gonna play D&D tonight. And that was from like 15, 16-year-old till I got into college. And then in college, I found a steady team that we played like 3 or 4 times a week, depending on how much we wanted to neglect our studies. So I say I've been a DM since 1987, but when I think about it, I gotta admit, that's actually 87 is when I was introduced to the game, and I didn't have a steady. Yeah, I probably didn't have a steady group until like 1990. I was thinking about my birthday when I got a stack of books from my parents from a garage sale. Like, oh my God, this stuff's amazing. They're like, yeah, you used to watch that Dungeons and Dragons cartoon when you were younger. Here's a game about it. Check it out. And I was like, addicted. Immediately addicted. No return. And fortunately, my parents thought the Satanic Panic was just silly. So it's never a problem in our house. They were happy I found something that I could be excited about investing into, because I had a pretty challenging childhood, so they were excited I found something to be able to really sink my teeth into. Hey, what's up? If I remember, we were the market. Oh, that's so fun. Except anyone who wanted into that. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Most of the players, my current team of players were. There was one fellow who was like, "Hey, you." He was a coworker. He's like, "You play D&D, right?" I'm like, "Yeah. I've been running games for like decades." He's like, "Well, I'm a big Roll20. I'm a big Critical Role fan." And I'm kind of interested in the game. Like, it seems interesting. I'm like, well, I mean, if you want to run, we're going to need at least 3 players to make it really work. And so we decided to form a gaming club at my place of work. And we picked up admin and IT and marketing, and so we pretty quickly got a pretty wide group of different departments, people in different departments that had played D&D before, that were like, yeah, I think a lunchtime game would be a lot of fun. Actually, I can kind of dip in and dip out as we need. Casual, right? I'm like, yeah, super casual. So we ended up starting with 5 players, and only 2 had ever played D&D before, and the other 3 were completely brand new, but liked the idea of it when we posted, hey, we're gonna play D&D at lunchtime. If anyone's interested, tag in. And so we played for 1 hour a week one lunchtime per week, and it was an hour-long game, and I ran them. It was an Eberron adventure, and it was a campaign that ran from level 1 to 20, and it took 6 years for us to finish it. And it started in 2018, and I had just published the Color Mana Spellpoint variant rules on the DMsGuild. There's a link to the Color Mana system for MTG down below if you're interested in looking at it. So I converted Eberron into the Color Mana system to express how Magic works, and about 4 of the 5 people at our table were MTG players. They used to play Magic the Gathering at lunchtime before the group broke up, and that's how a lot of them decided they wanted to play D&D. And so they were predisposed towards color Magic, so it was easy to lock them in that front. And we running a 20 level campaign 1 hour at a time. It was insane. Like the amount of prep time compared to game time as a DM, it was just ridiculous. I mean, I can improv 3 hours off the drop of a hat, so only having to prepare for 1 hour a week was just, it was insane. And we got really, really good at running D&D efficiently, because we eventually lost. We dropped from 5 to 4. And then we picked up another player, and we'd lose a player, and we'd pick up another player, and we'd lose a player. And so we had a rotation of anywhere from 3 to 5 players at any given time. And we got really good at being efficient at moving through rounds of combat and exploring and designating actions and calling initiative and blah, blah, blah. We got really good at it, because you kind of have to with only 1 hour. With only 1 hour a week to play, you can't fuck around. Sometimes they would just spend the week scheming on what problems they wanted to tackle next, and I'd just throw in random research checks on them. It's like, yeah, investigate this stuff, blah blah blah. That's kind of where the downtime system that we're using in the Bashing campaign came from. That field research idea, and God, it was so much fun. Just ridiculous fun. I think we were talking about something for a point. I don't remember. I don't know why I'm rambling about this subject. I just kind of start running my mouth and I just let it go where it wants. I find the more that I let my head just ramble with whatever text I'm talking about, the conversation goes. The more the conversation goes, the easier it is for me to paint, because I'm not paying attention to. Honestly, I'm not paying attention. The less I pay attention to what I'm saying, the more I'm allowing my reflexes and autonomics to basically paint for me. And when I really get into a rant, I literally don't know what's going to happen next with the artwork, and I become an audience, almost as much of an audience member as you do, because I really don't know what's going to get, what I'm going to draw or I'm going to paint or whatever, like what the solution I'm going to come with. It's really interesting, but that's, I've been painting my entire life, and so I've put in 15, maybe 20,000 hours worth of production work at this point. So I've gotten to that point where what I do, the way that I do real good. It's just mastery over time. I mean, if you've been a fan of the channel, you'll see me get stuck on stuff occasionally. Like I don't know how to solve this problem, and then I have to figure out a solution to it. But we do. So, but that's just I think that's just a matter of being comfortable with being uncomfortable with, like, I'm so comfortable with not knowing what the solution in my artwork is going to be that when I run into a problem, it rarely frustrates me. It only frustrates me when the pixels don't flow, and for some reason I get caught up on something. This is coming along really nicely. I gotta say, I like this. Yeah, no kidding, right? If you cut me, do I not bleed? No, no, but I will leak oil. Be careful about that. It stings. Beep 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 beep. Okay, I need another tentacle here, and I need one here, and then we'll probably be able to call this one done for now. So let's. I feel like I should add in a new layer. Like I'm gonna be doing some overlapping at some point here. So I think I need to drop into a new layer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tentacles. I can imagine these tentacles wrapping around like underneath the chin to make sure that the hat stays on. So fun. I'm working on the last page of layouts for the cemetery, and then I've got about I think 3 pages in the final dungeon to complete the layouts, and then the adventure layouts are done, and then we still have some monster stat blocks to figure out how to update the formatting on them with the new 5e24 monster. The way that monsters have been redone for 5e24, we're in the process of converting those monsters. And once that's done, the page layouts are done. So we're like maybe a week or so away from the layouts being like completely done, where I don't have to do layouts in the evenings anymore. Where I can just do art. I can just paint off screen and on screen. So you'll be seeing quicker development at that point. Nice. It's DMing is its own art. You only get better at it with experience and time. It's kind of awesome. Wait, this isn't the thing. This is the thing. I fell silent. There, that's good. Let's go back to this. One of the sections of the adventure is at the beginning of it. It's a farming community that's being plagued with undead. So they called for help. People are missing. Things are going ugly. So they call for sheriffs to come investigate, which is how your characters get involved. They basically they don't have time for these little farming communities that are crying about stuff. So they deputize your characters to go investigate it and give you a badge. And like, if there's something weird going on here, have some authority and do your best and report back to us what happened. And we'll take it from there if necessary. And then your characters end up, stopping this manifest zone from summoning demons. It's like, okay, well, you guys seem to be doing pretty good. You guys know what you're doing here. I'm going to drop this circle. That's the background. I'm going to drop the circlets down a little bit so it doesn't get so much in the way. There. But it starts in this farming this farming community of displaced veterans and Syrian refugees that don't really have anywhere to go home to after a lifetime of warfare. So there's all these like little pop-up communities that are, when in doubt, farm. Everyone always needs food. The Karnath government doesn't care who you are, where you came from, as long as you don't commit any crimes and you are producing food and new citizens. So they put a massive blind eye towards all of these little undocumented village farming communities that are cropping up. And it's been a few years since the end of the last war. So like the hamlet that the team visits has got about 30 homes in it at this point. It's a decent little village. And there's a bunch of wheat and corn and barley, different types of farming homesteads. And so we provide maps for those homesteads. We also have a corn maze map. Multiple tiles of modular corn mazes that have different paths that go through them, and if the DM and the players want to do so, it's basically corn mazes with undead hiding in the corn that you can go run through. It might not be a fun long-term thing to do for a campaign, but like for a one-shot, like this is what you're doing this evening, it could work as either like a Halloween special, a Thanksgiving special, or just drop it into the campaign. So there's a lot of cool little toolkits, like little adventure toolkits that are built into the adventure for DMs, basically to have resources to do stuff. Like the cemetery map, which I've referred to a couple times now. I really like the cemetery map, but it has a number of locations that could be set up as a separate. Like you can create like a MacGuffin scavenger hunt inside of the cemetery with undead chasing after you, and you could do it Scooby-Doo style, where your characters don't have any combat capability, or you could do it as an undead attack sort of scenario where you're all playing paladins and clerics, trying to kill all the undead in the cemetery to end the undead apocalypse. Like these can be little one-shot standalone adventures that you can just drop on your party. It's like, hey, let's just fuck around for the night, or like if you're new to the game, let's do this thing. So all the maps and locations and that are in this adventure are designed again to be modular, that you can extract them and do things with them. So once this publishes, like when I don't think I'll have time this year, but next year I could take the cemetery map and the corn maze and put the cemetery in the middle of the corn maze and have the team worm their way into the cemetery to the crypt at the center of the cemetery and drop drop the crypt so it's not generating evil anymore, for the team to purge the fields and the cemetery of undeath energy. Like that's a fun little one shot, like a little 5-hour one shot you could run, for example. And we could also do like little MacGuffin things, like there's artifacts hidden inside the cemetery. You have to go to the different crypts and mausoleums and gazebos that are set up in the cemetery as like little monuments. You can go to these different locations and find secret, like secret passages and secret reliquaries that hide the things that you're looking for. And in the actual adventure, there's a secret passage in the cemetery that leads the characters down into the final dungeon. If the DM wants, once the team finds a secret passage that goes underground, that they're 100% following that path. There's no scenario they're like, oh, that's cool, let's go explore someplace else. No, once they go through that door, they're going to go down into the final dungeon, and it's basically a shortcut to the end of the adventure to find the bad guys. Because if the DM wants to run a one-shot starting them in the cemetery to find the secret passage that then leads down to the necromancers to fight them and win the day, it's a very easy path to follow, and you can do that. Or you could decide to skip the secret passage, because the secret passages are optional. So there's a map without them and there's a map with them. And depending on how the DM wants to run the adventure, you either include the secret passages or you don't. And if you don't have a secret passage, then you have to find another way. And there's 3 different ways to get into the final dungeon. The DM just decides which one is going to be the most fun for the players, or the players kind of indicate which one's the most fun to them. And then that's what you do. So I need to shift this eye over. I'm seeing that. Let's grab this. Oops. Yeah. No, wait. Yeah. Like that. I see text. Give me a second. I'll catch up with you. There we go. So, current campaign you run on Wednesday. Oh, right on. So you've got a game tonight. Nice. Western style setting campaign where my players are running around the outer planes, destroying aspects of the God of Death. Oh, super fun. As a Western? That's super cool. Nice, man. Yeah, I want to run a Western style gold rush, like a gold mine community sort of campaign where the team oversees like using the bashing campaign style. The team oversees the activities of a town at the meta level as downtime activities, mining gold from a gold mine, obviously. And then monsters and bandits and stuff like that will frequently show up to cause trouble. And I think I want that as an underlying theme for the adventure. I don't see it being a long-term campaign or anything. It's just this is a fun thing to do. But it would be a fun thing to do, so I want to do it. But I'll be doing that probably with the Guild Delvers game that I've been developing, which will eventually kickstart. But we're currently running an Eberron style playing Spelljammer campaign using the Guild Delver mechanics, and it's been pretty fun. It's more of a party game style of role playing game. Very, very mechanically light, very simple. But I'll be talking and play testing that once we get done with the bashing campaign, the color mana updates, the martial powers book. Once all those things are off my plate, I'll have the bandwidth to start really leaning into developing that game into a legit Kickstarter. Tentacles of Madness. Yeah, not bad. Let's take this. I'm going to duplicate this layer here. Thank you, Timely Timer. What time is it? 7 o'clock? 7:10? Nice. Go around like that. Here. Fold this, let's go like this. that. There. It's looking pretty good. What I need to do is take this. Let's duplicate this layer. And then conceal that. And then let's take this up to 100%. And we're going to... That'll do. So, made a bunch of new subclasses and weapons and stuff for it. Struggling with plans on how to make them prioritize material plane over. Yeah, that's once you send them to the outer planes, there's so much cool stuff to do in the multiverse. Like, why would you bother going back? That I find that to be consistently true across across basically any type of campaign. Yeah, that feels good. Spaghetti Monster hat. I'm going to have to hit save real quick. I think my system just locked up. Photoshop occasionally freezes. Cool, it freed up. Hit save again. Almost, it's almost there. Not quite. Now I'm just being nitpicky. There. And then we'll have some lighting effects in there, like dark shadow around the rim, and then lighting kind of like fade in from above. What I need to do right now is look up the symbol for Zoriat, so I can make so I can put them on the eyeballs. Show me the symbols. That's not enough resolution for me to be able to use that. So let's try that again. There we go. Oh, easy peasy. Check out my layers. Okay, good. I'm probably going to have to make this a little bit smaller. Can you hear me concentrating? You can tell because I'm not making any noise. Like that, and then here. That. There we go. What's up? Hey, Domo. Domo, I don't know if you saw this, but God, thanks for the guidance because this turned out fucking awesome. I absolutely love this trumpet. So thanks for the guidance on the Feywild touch to that piece. That really made the difference. That was the inspiration that I needed. So hats off to you, my dude. Free transform, big it up a bit. Shorten a little bit more. Let's do like let's do that. There. I'm looking forward to this is what I hope for when I start doing Kickstarters, is that there's enough people that back the Kickstarter project that are interested in the art that I do, that they want to show up to the stream and participate in the production of the book. Because with so the way that I currently do books is I make a book and then I sell it and hope someone buys it. When I get into Kickstarters, the hope is that people want the ideas that I'm building and they back the project. It gets funded, and then we go through this process of like, hey, this Kickstarter passed. Here's the book that we're building for the Kickstarter, and you can watch me build the book every day. So I'm always holding myself accountable to the community. Like, hey, how's that Kickstarter project coming along? It's like, well, tune in tomorrow, and you can look at where we're at today. Like that's how I want to run this. So like basically, yeah, that you get it. I just said it. I could probably say it 1,000 different ways, but it's still the same point. That's where I want to get. That's where I want my Kickstarters to go. That people show up, that back the project and have a chance to contribute and offer their ideas. I'm like, hey, this would be cool if we did X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you're right, that would be cool. Let's do that. And then we do that. And so the people that back the project start becoming people that like their ideas start manifesting inside of the book itself because of, you know, participating. I think that would be super fucking fun. And I don't know. I've never heard of anyone running a Kickstarter other than MCDM claiming that no one has ever done it. Designing a game on stream before, but they aren't really designing it on stream. They've got a Patreon community where they do their design work behind the paywall. I want to have this just fully out there for people to take a look at and watch and participate in, and maybe even get excited about it. And even if the Kickstarter is over, you know, we're still churning out content. So that's where I hope to go. That's what I would like to see. I'm not there yet. I barely even have a website, so like I am fighting tooth and nail from turning this into a business. But if I'm going to do Kickstarters, it's probably going to have to end up being a business. So I'm going to have to get comfortable with that. But I'm paranoid about monetize, you know, like really leaning into making this a business and like a job sort of thing that'll end up killing the creativity. I need to shift this. So, but it's going to end up being what it's going to end up being. I don't have to really be afraid of it. It's just that's the feeling that's attached to it. And once that feeling resolves, I'm sure the pathways are going to open up and it's going to be super cool. But there, ooh, this really isn't very circular, is it? Free transform. Nope, wrong layer. This one, free transform. And I feel like there's just a little bit of duplicate those layers, merge them together. Let's take all of these and drop these into the trash. Let's take all of these, duplicate that group, merge that group, ungroup. There. I see text. Give me a second. So? Hey, what's up, Fox? What's up, Francois? It's good to see you guys. So I cut up on the video recording afterwards. Yeah, right on, man. Thanks. We're like, yeah, no kidding, right? That trumpet was particularly fun. I do admit, very, very fun. So this is Wednesday. I'll be playing D&D with my coworkers at lunch today, so I shan't be streaming. And I don't have a stream this evening. Normally Thursday nights, tomorrow, I would be streaming production of the Bashing campaign, but I am going to be playing Shadow Dark on Wally DM's channel with Fred Wheeler, How to RPG, AJ Pickett, and there's other people at the table. I can't recall who else is playing, but we'll be playing maybe a 3-hour session of Shadow Dark. I read the quick start last night. It is a very system-like game, very easy to grok. I could see myself doing system neutral content that would work with Shadow Dark really easily. It's such a low fidelity old school style of game. Very easy to use. So I'll post links to that tomorrow when it'll be, I think it's at 5 o'clock Seattle time, 8 o'clock Eastern time that the game will be firing up. This piece is, I think I'm pretty content with. I mean, some of the line art's a little sloppy still, but we're going to color it, so that won't really matter. Because we'll end up coloring underneath the line art, and then we'll blend the color. We'll merge the color into the lines, and then we'll blend the lines and the colors so it becomes a solid piece. I see text. I'll catch up. Almost there. And then we'll move on to the next piece. There, and there we go. Whoop, I think I want to do that. That timer is designed to keep me from boring down too far into something like if I find myself whinging and procrastinating inside of a particular piece, that alarm is designed to help me not only keep track of like when I need to log out so I can go to my day job, but to make sure that I'm not hyper focusing and obsessing on any particular piece of content. It's a chance for me to basically check my head to see where I'm at with a piece. And I think that timer has just told me that I'm neglecting text and that this piece is effectively done. So fuck yeah, dude. So for Halloween, I secretly infected my group with lycanthropy with a curse item. That's awesome. They all woke up to find all people have been turned into giant walking gummy bears. Obviously hilarity. Oh my god, that's awesome. If I didn't run Castles of Crusaders, it would be my system. Yeah, right on, Fox. You know what? I feel like I need to... Yeah, I'm whinging. I designed for 5e because I really, well, it's because it's the IP for Magic the Gathering role playing right now. They don't have an MTG role playing game. I'd probably consider playing that if they did. But beyond that, the fact that MTG works so good with D&D using the 5e game engine, but the 5e game engine is just fun to kit bash with. It's such a, you can really just sculpt with it. It has enough mechanical crunch to it that you can really dive into mechanical details, but it's also a light enough of a narrative tool that you can basically wrap any kind of a game environment into the 5e game engine. It's a little chunkier. The combat, I mean, if I wasn't playtesting Martial Powers for 5e, it would be more mechanical depth than I personally enjoy as a DM of running. I like running it because I like running it. I like running mega dungeons, and I think 5e is actually really good with mega dungeons. And of course, the MTG IP it belongs to Wizards, so that's going to be 5e content if I'm going to publish any of it, which of course I will. But with the 6 years that I spent playing 1 hour a week of D&D with my coworkers, I have found running a much looser fluid system fits my style, my improv style of DMing far better than any real mechanically chunky sort of game system, which is ironic because of how much 5e content that I build, but which is why I'll eventually run my own Kickstarter to basically codify the stuff that I like, the way that I've adapted my gameplay to accommodate an hour-long lunch shift. Like the game that I've been developing is designed to be ran in 1 to 5 hour sessions. Like you can run this as a 1 hour session with 5 people. I do it regularly, and we have meaningful progress, and it's fun. So it's a good system. It's not ready yet. I'm not ready to talk about it quite yet. We're getting there. Merge down. Okay, cool. We're done. I'm officially done whinging on this. I feel like it's pretty good. I like that. Crown of Madness, or rather Crown of Zoriat. That looks super cool. I think this is all going to end up sitting with each other rather well. I can raise this up a smidge. Yeah, congratulations to us. So let's collapse that one and this one. There's the flute, and here is the banner. Let's go to... Yeah, this is where we're at. Let's mess with this flute. So the flute of Sarania, the Azer Sky. I spelled that wrong. Sarania. So wrong of you. Another musical instrument. 1, 2, 3 musical instruments, and that's it. There's only 3 musical instruments. Super. Posters of gummy berry juice. Oh my god. Fucking gummy bears. My god. That show was so good. Hold on. Wait, we didn't notice our party was suddenly a bunch of werewolves. Well, you never asked me about your party members, so no. You just knew the wolf was John and never gave it a second thought. That's awesome. Okay, so anyone that's paying attention to this channel, that's new to the channel, hold on. Bards are going to have a field day with this. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they really are. It's going to be fun. Okay, so for those that don't know, back in the I want to say it was like early 90s, probably like 92, 94. I think there was 2 seasons of it, but the Gummy Bears was a Disney cartoon that was on basically like weekday afternoons or Saturday mornings, depending on where you were at. And it was a D&D, like it was a fantasy setting. There was a kingdom where the main character was a boy who was a squire to a knight, and he was in a kingdom, and the main antagonist was this guy named Duke Igthorn. and he was basically cast out because I think he tried a coup and it failed. He has command of an endless supply of ogres, and they're all morons. Like the ogres are dumb as fuck. And like a classic example, Igthorn is writing a ransom letter to the king of, I don't remember the name of the kingdom, who cares? But he's writing a ransom letter to the king, and there's this hulking ogre in the corner with a little pad of paper and a pen, and he's dictating to him. And he says, "Read that back to me." He says, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Read back the note." He says, "Oh, I can only write. I can't read. I'm sorry." He's like, but they're incredibly powerful. They can tear down walls if they can lay siege on something. And so the gummy bears are basically furry teddy bears, like Berenstain bears that live in the forest. They're part of a collapsing society where they used to have a continent-spanning empire of magic and technology, and it all fell apart when the Age of Man began. So the gummy bears that are in the show are basically in like are in this like isolated community of tree roots. Underneath the tree roots is where the gummy bears live, and they're called gummy bears because they'll drink a potion, and it makes them become rubbery and they can bounce. Anyone else that drinks gummy berry juice becomes basically gets ogre strength. They get armor class. Their strength gets a +10 to their strength stat for however long the potion lasts. So the boy squire will drink gummy berry juice and be able to fight, like be able to stand up and fight hand to hand against ogres. If an ogre drinks it, it can literally tear down walls. So Igthorn is constantly trying to steal gummy berry juice from the gummy bears because he can lay siege on the castle of the kingdom that he was banished from. And the squire ends up making friends with the gummy bears by saving one of the gummy bear kids' lives at some point from ogres. And so that's how they get on each other's radars and on the shit list of Igthorn. But it's like they have magic, they have magic like spells and stuff like that, and they've got like a really small library that they can research stuff. And later in the season, I think it was the second season, they find Shangri-La, which is a magically hidden city of gummy bears. So they start integrating with this larger community, and there's like knights and stuff, like gummy bear knights that are I think they ride on. I think they're riding sheep or goats, maybe. I don't remember specifically, but it was such a well constructed kids show, but it had all this super cool fantasy elements in it. It's probably on the Disney Channel, but I love the gummy bears. That show was so good. I could acknowledge it was made for kids, but at the same time, it was really just exploring. Like they were always adding new elements to this world. Like here's the founders of the Gummy Kingdom, and like here's a magic tome that we have that does all this cool magic stuff. The wizard, the wizard gummy bear, he had a stuttering speech impediment, so he always had difficult time spitting out words when he was trying to like look out. He couldn't get the words out of his mouth. But whenever he would cast a spell, it was like something took control of him. Super cool stuff. It was such a... Okay, this locked up. I need to relaunch the program. But yeah, I cannot recommend Gummy Bears enough. That is just super quality, early 90s, like early teen entertainment. Just super good. This feels like just like a piece of driftwood that I'm working on. I'm not sure how this... other than... Okay, so Sarania is the Azer Sky, so it's a wind instrument. We have that going with the trumpet already, but I was really trying to get a flute sort. Obviously a flute. But I don't know beyond that what type of flavor I may need to introduce into this. Probably none. God, that was such a good show. I tell you, man, 80s and 90s cartoon is just like the best content to farm for D&D stuff. Like every single one of those crazy cartoons that they came out with during those days is like, this had to be, somebody had to have been role playing this. There's no way they, like have you ever seen Pandemanium? Panda Manium. It's about time. It's about dimension hopping panda bears. Dimensional traveling panda bears that are trying to prevent a warlock from basically summoning monsters from the shadow realm to take over the earth. So they're going to all these weird, like all these weird pocket dimensions with their own physics that all have these like weird MacGuffins and stuff in it that this warlock is trying to get. And so the pandas are constantly trying to stop them. And they're just a bunch of idiots, of course. And they have some human companions for, you know, relatability. But it's like, God, what a stoner campaign that must have been to play. There's no way that was just a random show. Somebody like really thought about like what the hell is going into this show. And it was super cool. What? Hey, Fox. What type of memory supplements do you use? Make it look like maybe making it look like clouds might be the right idea. I don't know, man. I like a lot of guys, I can remember quotes and plot points about stuff, but I can't remember a friend's birthday worth of shit. Most of my best friends that I still have from college, we communicate through movie quotes, which I don't think is unusual for the male. I think a lot of man groups do that. But mine in particular, we convey emotions through movie quotes. But this is the stuff that I like. This was like 1990, 1991. This was like peak D&D time for me. Like when I didn't have any responsibilities in the world, and I could, I could spend all my weekend time just making maps and stuff. And I played D&D. Well, I didn't play, but like I made maps and stuff of D&D in study hall at school. And when the teacher wasn't paying attention to me, I would be doodling maps and stuff. So all these crazy shows were happening when D&D was pretty popular. So it all just kind of blends together. You know what we should do is look at what is the symbol for Sarania, because did I lock up? Oh, no, that's the wrong picture. All right, let's go here. Let's grab our Sarania symbol. This is the answer. This is the answer. And in hindsight, it was so obvious. But you don't know until you know, you know? And by just simply calling it the Flute of Sarania, it's like, how does that work as a flute? And now you have to start thinking, how does that work like a flute? I don't have to explain how it works as a flute. I can just present, that's a flute. Like, oh. But I think that's way cooler than what we were doing. Adjust my seat again. And I don't need a symbol like this one's obviously just going to have a symbol of whatever the fuck that's going to be. Yeah, and we have like the eye stalk here. We don't really have anything specifically here, but it's kind of self-explanatory. We don't have any specific symbols here. No specific symbols here. So sometimes we have symbols on them, sometimes we don't, and apparently sometimes the thing is the symbol. I love that. I am very, very pleased. So let's fade that down and start rebuilding. Yeah, I'm into this. Hey, what's up? Fart flute. Strict diet of only beats. Yeah, Francois, that sounds about right, my guy. Well, no, it doesn't look like a fart flute. 3 charges per day. Let's do like this. Timely timer says it's time. It's 7:50. I've got a few minutes left. I'm gonna give myself 5 more minutes and then I'm gonna bounce. Fart flute costs stinking. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that could be. You guys are the worst. Endless pot of humor. Can't take you kids anywhere. Here. I feel like vapor coming out of the pipes. It's a fun idea. Let's get this curve in here. Here. All right, I'm feeling that we are almost done. Well, I mean, obviously I only got a few minutes left, but I feel a sense of closure and completeness today. I'm really looking forward to coming back and doing this tomorrow. Am I crazy? Is this a bad idea? I think this is a good idea. I like this. I think this is going to work out. I have to make sure the foreshortening works properly. That angle is off a little bit. All right, I'm gonna leave it there because down this path is madness. You might be. All right. That's it for today, guys. I'm gonna bounce out of here. Good stuff. I'm really happy with today's session. Thanks for the funds. And I will be back tomorrow morning to continue work on this. We're gonna be back tomorrow night to play some Shadow Dark on a Wally DM's channel. I'll be back on Friday morning again here, and then Friday lunchtime we're going to be working on the Artificer Artillerist during our Friday lunch stream, and then Saturday morning we'll be, assuming we have at least 3 people, we'll be playtesting the Martial Powers Mega Dungeon. And if that goes according to plan, then we should be completing the 3rd zone, pushing into the 4th and 5th zones, and gaining the level to 5th level. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the team getting to 2nd rank, so they can start throwing more mana around and having more resources. That's going to be really fucking fun. So right on, guys. I will see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.